everybody, this is Dr. Christy Taylor, the founder of Work Solutions LLC, and I am so excited today to welcome you to the Look Back and the Way Ahead conference. This has been a spectacular year for Work Solutions LLC. I started this process in November of last year where I said, okay, I want to speak more. I wanted to do more podcasts and engage more. And I did not, without me knowing, over the course of a period of 12 months, I had the opportunity. I became a place where people came to speak and share their platforms. And so over the course of 12 months, we have worked with over 70 different speakers, and we featured them on events such as our podcast, our website, our DEI series, the Strategic Alliance for African American Female Entrepreneurs. We have had speakers that we've worked with all across the board. So I am so excited for this event because it is all about honoring those people who have worked with us over the past year. And this event is also a culmination because it is a pre-event to our magazine launch that will be launching on January 6th. So next week on Monday, we officially launch Work Global News. So I have a series of guests who are coming in. They're excited to speak to us. They're going to offer us words of wisdom. In 2025, our whole mantra is us being the prescription for change, the prescription for success. And we're going to celebrate that with our signature event in April, which will be our Prescription for Career Success Summit. And so each one of our guests today, they'll be taking a look back at 2024, telling us about the road ahead in 2025, where they're headed. They'll also be giving us some tidbits and words of wisdom regarding their prescription for success in 2025. So that you can come into 2025 with, hearing from all of these experts and coaches in this one day. You can come into 2025 with, just some excitement and positive vibe. So I'm going to kick us off with one of my favorite people. Now, look, usually when I meet with people, our first two guests especially, I meet with people, we'll start a conversation that mostly is intended to be a 20-minute meeting. And then sometimes we get into these conversations as coaches and entrepreneurs or just women and men trying to make an impact. And we end up talking for 2 or 3 hours. That is not anything new. You'll find that as you're seeking to grow your business or your mindset, it is so great to surround yourself with people that you connect with. So I'm excited to kick today's event off with the founder of Dear Black Woman, Cami Red. Cami Red worked with us through our organization called the Strategic Alliance for African American Female Entrepreneurs, or the Safe Space, which is a group that I own for Black women, right? And it is a platform to support us in developing our business, but mainly it's become a platform for developing mindset and just building a sense of connection. So with that, I want to turn this over to Cami. Cami, introduce yourself and tell us, when you talk about the look back, what was 2024 to you? And I'm just excited to hear about your road ahead.
Well, I started 2024 as Cami Red, RDN, chef. That's what I started 2024 as. I was in a stale place in life, in a relationship I probably shouldn't have been in, one that filled me with self-doubt and, a lot of uncertainty. And that's what the first half of my 2024 looked like. But when I say but, that's a big B-U-T, okay? But in June, I picked up, I left Texas, I moved back home. I got home and me thinking I was going to come back home and be chef and nutritionist again. Absolutely not. You know how when they say you tell God your plan and he laugh at you?
Yes.
That's what happened to me. Okay. I told God my plan, or I told God the plan that I was supposed to think, I thought I was supposed to be doing. And he said, nah, boo, we got something else we need to talk about. So in July of 2024, I released a book called Dear Black Woman, and it's love letters to Black women. And that has since changed my life from that point on. And it's been just a whirlwind of creativity from that point period.
So talk to us about Dear Black Woman, because you got some minutes left here, right? So give me at least 60 seconds on the rundown for those who haven't heard of your platform, because you
Okay.
have a Facebook group, a YouTube page, a podcast. I
Yeah.
mean, all just from one idea, right?
Yeah. So in July, the book dropped, and I reached out to a couple of people. I, submitted it a couple of places. It got international acclaim. I was really excited about it. In September, we launched a podcast. Myself, a coach by the name of Nicole Davis, who lives in Paris, France, a career empowerment entrepreneur who lives in London, England, by the name of Lauren Edwards. We have a global podcast called Dear Black Woman, where we discuss issues that affect Black women, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. So what it brought me to understand is that Black women in every continent are experiencing some of the same things, some of the same setbacks, some of the same issues. So it gave me insight into how we needed to develop something that would educate, entertain, and inspire Black women. So now, launching right after your magazine on January the 10th, is our Dear Black Woman magazine. And in it, we have content from writers from every continent on this planet. So we're giving a global perspective for Black women everywhere. That's with current events, world news, all kinds of things to really, again, educate, entertain, and inspire Black women. And as I sit here and I was waiting, I was actually coloring in my Dear Black Woman coloring book. Yeah, because we got all kinds of tools and coping mechanisms for you to get through whatever it is that you're going through. We have affirmation cards. We have Dear Black Woman coloring books. We have T-shirts, mugs, blankets, whatever you need, we got it. So,
the amazing thing about this, if you're tuning in, is I want you guys to understand the power of starting from scratch. The people that you hear today, I just want to go back to my own story. I have to give, I give shout out to Kim Brochette, Denise Scholarships, those people who mentor me. I came back from a deployment in October of 2023. Mm-hmm. November, I said I wanted to do some speaking engagements. Denise brought me on her platform to allow me to speak. But then what the thing was that I was speaking about, children in middle school from an educator standpoint. But after the event, the crazy thing was that she took like 45 minutes to mentor me. That 45 minutes changed the trajectory of everything that I've done, because within that, over the past year, I've built out Work Solutions. I hired coaches to work with me, but I was not expecting for Work Solutions to be a platform to help so many people. And I was, going into this as I'm a career coach, but I mean, we've done so much work, DEI, and we started SAFE, and just so much work. And listen, guys, there was no, when we talk about, if you think that to launch a business or to do something you want to do, that you got to have a lot of money to do it. No, you just got to have a lot of drive. Because I'm telling you, some days I look at my business bank account and I'm like, there is $0.00.
Listen, I came home back to Georgia with only my clothes. I didn't have a dime to my name. So that's why I said, when God puts something in the plans and the works for you, he makes sure that you're taken care of too. So my book has sold so many copies, and I'm so excited. It's on Audible, it's on Amazon, it's in Barnes and Noble. I'm putting it in more local bookstores as we speak. Oh, and because I'm trying to live like I teach, I'm moving to Vietnam. So I'm going to be taking everything that I do here in the United States internationally as well, because I really want to truly show Black women what it's like to thrive after being in traumatic experiences in life.
Well, this has just been an amazing journey. We're going to share your stuff, your information and contact information. And guys, if you're tuning in, you are literally just getting tidbits of who each of these awesome people are that we have had an opportunity to work with over the past year. My thing is, the whole point of this Look Back and Way Ahead conference in terms of helping people to get some insight, and not only to who these great individuals are that we have worked with, but it's to inspire you. It's to start where you are. Because sometimes we say, well, I got to just wait. Wait on what? I have failed at least 3,000 times this year. right? And each one of those failures, I just launched my first Facebook ads campaign last night. I mean, you got to be willing to show up at the workshop when there's two people there. You got to be willing to show. My cousin Adrian, shout out to him because I know he's listening right now. That man has showed up to everything I've had, even when there's only.
Hey, Adrian, I remember.
You know, Adrian, show up to everything I got going on, right? You got to be willing to look like the fool. I'm sorry, but that's, it sounds harsh.
You got to talk to the audience, even when nobody is on your live. So you got
to just do it. Sometimes I just pop up on Facebook. You got to do it, because once you get into the momentum of doing it, there is power in consistency. So if you're listening in and you want to start the business, you want to launch something, I said I'm going to start a magazine. Bam, I'm doing it. I started a clothing brand, failed expeditiously, right? But I'm doing it. But Cammie, I have one last question to ask you before we get off, because we're going to ask everybody the same question. And that is, what is going into 2025? What is your recommendation, your prescription for success, the advice that you want to give everybody going into 2025? What would you recommend your prescription for success in 2025?
Well, I'd say first, just acknowledge any trauma that you faced so that you can heal yourself, be a whole person and move forward in a healthy way. And also, don't be afraid to share your story, because your story is going to also help somebody else move forward in a way that's going to be beneficial to them as well.
Thank you so much. I mean, Cammie, it's, even though your book is called Dear Black Woman, it has been so many women that have read your book, Black, White, Yellow, Purple, right? Yeah. Because the experience of us is all being women.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you. The only reason the name of the book is called Dear Black Woman is because I can only give you the perspective of being a Black woman.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same here.
From me and anybody else but me. So
yeah, that's the same here. I'm like, I can speak from 25 years of experience.
Right. I can speak from 21 years
of experience. Okay, Cammie, it has been fantastic. We're going to share your information in the chat one more time. So Jules, drop that. And, any other advice you want to give before we go on to our next amazing speaker?
Yes, please. Just, prioritize your mind, body healing, and your overall well-being. Don't just survive, but also strive to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. That's it. And have a great new year.
Thank you, Cammie. Thank you so much. Amazing. We wish you the best luck going into next year. So the Look Back and Way Ahead conference, we're going to bring on our next speaker, the amazing Miss Dominica. Well, I can never say her name right, but this is my girl right here. Stanzowitz, correct?
Absolutely not. And we did it again.
Dominica is another one of those people who, she came on to our DEI panel, and so much in the context of when we talk about DEI, and I understand it is under challenge right now, right? People are challenging, but people have to realize that DEI is not just about a race thing. It's about people's different experiences. It's about us as women. And when you look statistically anyway, when you talk about affirmative action programs, it's not necessarily people of color who necessarily benefit from all of those affirmative action programs, first of all, but that's a whole other topic. But when I organized these DEI events, I was very intentional about bringing people with diverse perspectives and coaches and people who could really speak to the situation. And I had an opportunity to work with her as a DEI panel and as a client. And we got onto a meeting where we were sitting here. We were supposed to be talking about one thing. We ended up talking for 3 freaking hours about, she gave me a global education. And so I just want to introduce my girl, Dominica, Brain Coach D. And Dominica, tell me just some things you're celebrating from 2024. And, tell me a little bit about the road ahead. What are you planning to do? What's going on?
Well, I'm celebrating billions of things. First of all, everything I put on my vision board came true.
Awesome.
And vision boards are so important, not because they're woohoo things. It's just they focus you every day on what you want. And it allows you to take the noise out of life. Second thing, I got a brand new website, which finally divided my services into individual services and corporate services, which I have been doing. And my speaking website is almost ready with professional design the way it's supposed to be. So I've done plenty of things. And it's my first year of doing only what I do, no extras. And I have hit 100K. So I am very, very excited for what I did in just first year. And I was listening to you guys backstage, and the truth is, I failed more than I succeeded. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I messed up so many times and things didn't work out. And I've tried this and I tried that. And I listened to this person and this training, and this didn't work. The truth is, you, if you're a woman especially, you have a gift. And your gift is your intuition. And you got to sit yourself in front of the mirror and go, hey, girl, how does it feel to do what I'm doing?
Yes.
Does this feel right? Does this give me a pull that I'm excited about? Because when you're in your head, you're dead. In your heart, you're smart. Your heart and your gut is connected to all different structures in your brain. And it gives you the best advice under one condition: you're not super stressed at the moment you're making that decision. But other than that, listen to yourself, because your intuition, your feeling of discomfort, your feeling of excitement is always true. There is nothing better than you and your feeling of, am I doing the right thing? Does this feel right? Am I going the right direction? Right? Because if you go only off logic, I mean, there's, first of all, when I quit my regular 9 to 5,
I know you were scared.
I was terrified, scared. I was just dying inside. And everybody told me that I'm an idiot. And how are you going to live? And you know what? There were moments where I started driving Lyft while doing my business.
What?
Yes, girl.
People, and I want to interject there, because people get scared. It's like, I remember when I had to get a second job. I would never forget this. I was working at CVS, and here was Dr. Taylor working at CVS as a cashier with a second job, and somebody was like, "Is that you? I thought you were this, and this." Like, hey, life happens, and you got to take a chance and a shot on yourself. So don't be afraid.
But I had the outcome in mind, right?
Yeah.
So I knew that these things are temporary. So I was going, okay, what can I do not to quit? And there's this picture on the internet, and I have been literally looking at that picture almost every day, where there's this guy with this, axe and going for this big diamond, and he gives up literally when they're like 1 inch away. And the truth is, you can be working your butt off for 4 years and it's going average or below average. And if you stick with it, the 5th year might be the year that everything explodes and you get all your dreams come true. So winning is about sticking it out. I was like, okay, I love what I do. It feels right what I'm doing. So what can I do to keep going? Lyft was the answer. And any moment I had no client or I did everything in my business, I would get on Lyft and get the money in so I could pay for my website, so I could pay my VA, so I could pay other people. So I feel safe that I'm doing something and not waiting for things to happen. For crying out loud, don't wait for life to happen. Make life happen.
God. Can you scream that?
Yes, make life happen, girl.
Yes, in 2025, it's like when we talk about the look back the way ahead, somebody probably looked at this was like, is she talking about politics? No, I'm talking about the politics of your life, okay? You managing your life. We are groups of mindset coaches. We all have our special areas, right? But all of this stuff crosses paths. And I love the fact that you came on here. That's why you a girl, okay? Because you came on here and you kept it real. It's like, you see this success of Dominica. She's like Brain Coach D. She's speaking all over and doing all of this stuff. And it's like, but girl, I had to drive Lyft, okay, to pay this assistant, to pay these bills, to be able to. So if you are not where you want to be, I mean, there is no shame in the game when you are all in and committed to what you want to do. Okay, so we got a little bit of time with you, Dominica. So I can ask you this next question, which is, tell me 2 minutes, tell me about the road ahead, all of this stuff that you've done to be successful. Okay. Tell me about the road ahead. What does 2025 look like for Brain Coach D?
So 2025 looks like more clients, developing the corporate ladder and corporate trainings. And it also looks like big dreams that I do look at, but tiny, everyday habits, little activities that I do every day to get me closer to my goal. And that is so important. Instead of going, oh, I'm going to make $400,000. What can I do today to get me closer to $400,000? One little thing. When I do need to lose about 15 pounds, because practice what you preach, brain health and weight do go together. So I was like, okay, well, I need the 15 pounds, but 15 pounds looks exhausting just from thinking about it. So I'm like, okay, what can I do every day? And I'm not setting myself up for failure. I'm setting myself up for success. So I said, okay, every day I'll just do half an hour walk. I always have a half an hour. That's all I'm going to commit to. Now, if I have more time, I can do more. See, a lot of people set up those big resolutions. Your brain is not ready for big. Okay, do small, but consistency. Half an hour, 15 minutes. If you walk 15 minutes a day, you're already winning, because 15 minutes times 365 days, guess what? You are winning, and you're doing way more than you were. And consistency is the key. It's not the big action. You know, sometimes we have the spurs. Yes, I'm going to be a superhero. How often do you get to be a freaking superhero? Little things, and celebrate. I'm going to celebrate every freaking win. Every tiny win, even if it's my client calling me back or somebody reading my email, I'm going to celebrate that, because I have a choice. I can go, oh yeah, 50 clients didn't respond, but 3 freaking did.
I know. I've committed myself to doing. We just talked about this. I was like, I have no big goals. I've been listening to and I see Bina there, the School of Self-Image. My friend Bina introduced me to it. I've been listening to that podcast, and they said one goal, right? And I said, well, I'm just gonna wake up in the morning. I'm just gonna try to wake up early. The first 2 days, I'm not gonna lie, I had the Amazon Alexa in the hallway. I got up and I just tapped that thing and took myself back to sleep. But I got a real alarm clock in this morning. I was up and I was at it. I was doing, I got PT in a couple of weeks for my military stuff. So I was at it. And I love the fact. Now, I gotta keep you on 2 minutes longer, okay? Because I gotta get a 30-second answer from you, because it was something that I saw on your Instagram, and I ain't gonna lie, I stole it. You came on here, you were talking about the vision board, right? It was one random day that I was following you on Instagram. I just saw you pop up talking. You were talking about like the unvision board. Like, we focus so much on putting the things that we want on the vision board. But then I heard, that was like the first time I ever heard somebody say that, right? The unvision board, where you talked about like the things you don't want. You know what I mean? And having it there with the people. I was like, I was so inspired by that, because we always talk. So I just wanted to get a quick comment from you on that. Then I'll ask you my last question, because we can talk about 3 hours.
Because that connects to what you said with the previous guest. And the previous guest said that too. Name things as they are.
Yes.
And if you don't name things as they are, you cannot, if you have a destination, you cannot create a roadmap unless you know where you are. The same with your vision. If you cannot have a vision without knowing where you are, because there's no roadmap. It's like, this is the destination. You put a dot on your map, but you don't know where you are. Are you going right, left, up, down? There's no direction. So to create true vision, you need to face where you are with no apologies, going, I'm a screw up. I messed up. And this is where I am. So how can I make this better? Because without place where you are right now, there is no vision. It starts with admitting who you are and unvision yourself, right? Don't create things that are impossible. I mean, I could say I want to be, a billionaire working for Coca-Cola as a CEO. What is the chance of me doing that? Maybe as big as winning the lottery. So not very high. Right.
I'm 40 now, so I'm like trying to wrap this thing up, right? What is the chances? I'm just like, okay, get the millionaire status by writing these resumes.
I'm turning 50 this year. 50. And I'm like, damn, okay. I got 30 years left. So how can I make a world a better place, one person at a time? Ripple effect. Okay, ripple effect. I help this person. I help this one. I do this. I stop creating things that are unrealistic. And I started with saying where I am, who I am, what I'm doing, and embracing it, because everything took me here. So I know, and I have the guts to say, hey, Dominica, you're perimenopausal. So it's okay if you have a crying spell in the middle of walking in the meadow and you have no clue why you're crying. You're not crazy. You're just perimenopausal. That's fine. You're okay, and it's gonna go away. So what's your vision, right? Do you want to feel that out of the blue? I don't. Okay, so what can I do? I can go to a doctor. I can get my hormone replacement therapy. I can exercise more. I can do more mindfulness. I can do more brain exercises. There, it's just name what it is and go, okay, do I want this? Because if you want it, keep it. Don't change it. But
Well, I feel like you've already given us the prescription for success in 2025. But Jules, make sure we're dropping her stuff in the chat, because again, I can always go over with them because we can talk. It's me too. It's me too. So what is your prescription for success in 2025? Really quickly, because you gave us so much information.
Tiny habits.
Yeah.
Tiny habits and celebration.
Just fantastic. Dominica, somehow, some way, I'm gonna get you back on here next year, okay?
Absolutely. Next year, you have me wait.
Oh, it is next year. That's where.
Hello.
Well, later on this year, we'll figure something out. As always, it is fantastic to hear from you. We wish you so much luck. You don't even need love. We wish you so much success in 2020.
I need love. Love makes the world go round.
No, love
and end it over love. I want love. All the love.
Oh, okay. Love and look. Okay. All right, Dominica, thank you so much for coming on. You are fantastic, and good vibes to you in 2025.
Dr. Christy, you're amazing. You're doing great work. Love working with you. Everybody who's listening, soak it in, and just don't soak it in. Choose one thing out of all of us who are going to speak today and put it into practice. You will be in a different place in 2026. And one more thing, if you guys want to really make a difference, take a big piece of paper, put it on your wall, and every day write down 2 things that were great about that day, and just put it there and keep writing through the whole year. At the end of the year, read that. There's no way there'll be anything you can regret. You will be set up for success for 2026, and you can start now. Tiny habits, 2 things.
Thank you so much. You have an amazing day. You have an amazing day for an amazing person. All right, guys, we are talking about our next guest because Miss Dr. Rhonda Simmons, who I had an opportunity to work with her during our February podcast, was girl during this when we launched that first season of the Work Solutions podcast. We was out here doing some of everything. We had a February podcast list where we were talking about social impact issues. We had a Women's History Month celebration. But it was just a fantastic experience of being able to meet other women in business who were doing the work of social impact. And Dr. Simmons she's an executive leadership coach, but she also has an amazing foundation where, if I remember correctly, you work with young teen moms who, and getting them the stuff and the information that they need to be successful. And so with that, I'm going to, of course, ask my first question, Rhonda, and that is, looking back at 2024, what are your successes, the things you're celebrating, and tell us about the road ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Christy. I'm so glad to be here with you today. Happy New Year to you and to everyone watching and listening. My successes from 2024, oh my goodness. Wow. Just looking back over the year, for one, I got my doctorate in educational leadership. And so I'm real excited about that, from Liberty University. And so that seems like such a long time ago, but it was just in April.
Hey, I'm a fellow Liberty University graduate too. I had some GI Bill money left during COVID and just randomly went back to school for a specialist degree in higher ed. So congratulations to you, Rhonda.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Also, through my nonprofit organization, the Simmons Empowerment Foundation Incorporated, we were able to launch an initiative in Kenya back in July. Yes. I am just so amazed. And how that came about is, long story short, I was able to transition my board of directors because I knew that God was leading our foundation in a totally different direction in 2024. And I needed people on board who who were aligned with what was next. I had great board members, no complaints whatsoever, but I just felt like it was time for a change. And I was able to get an international board, actually,
Wow.
where my board members are in Kenya and in the UK. And so that's how we ended up actually launching an initiative in Kenya. And that was just the start of something big. And I am so looking forward to what we're going to do there in the future in Kenya.
Well, listen, guys. So again, if you're tuning in, and I think about Rhonda and our experience on the podcast, and just having an opportunity to talk to you, this is another example of being spiritually led, going the direction of where you feel called to do, and following it. Because here at Work Solutions, I don't care. I believe in the Lord. So if I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna call a thing, right? So if God is leading you somewhere, following that direction and trusting that process, right? And I'm gonna do a self correction, because I remember when we were doing the podcast, I was like, oh, I thought you were a teen mom. That's why you started the foundation. No, it was like sincerely that you weren't a teen mom. You just had this passion for helping other young women, and you were doing that work already. And it's amazing to hear about the work that you are doing globally, and you are spirit led. Now, you talk about the fact that you just got your degree in education leadership, but you come out of education. What are you planning to do with that? Like, are you like continuing to work on your foundation? Like, what is 2025 looking like? And I'm talking about somebody who's gone global. Okay, she's global.
Well, let me tell you. So in 2024, I was a school principal, and God led me to step down from that. I was not fired, wasn't anything like that.
But it's just like when you a principal and you making good money and you doing all of this stuff. That's like, okay, this again, inspiration, right? To feel called to do something. It's like, okay, well, God, you want me to step down from my job?
Yes. Well, I stepped down for two reasons. The stress of being a school principal was literally making me sick, to the point where I told my husband, dead people don't work. And so it was literally making me sick. And most importantly, I knew that being a school principal did not align with God's purpose for my life. And that was a huge thing for me. And so this wasn't just, oh, I have a backup plan. Oh, no, there was no backup plan. And for anyone who knows me, not having a backup plan is just not who I am. There's always a backup plan, but this decision, there was no backup plan. It was pure faith. It was a leap of faith. And God has been faithful ever since, and he's seen us through. And so the best way I can describe it, Dr. Christie, is how, like on a padlock, if you hold it up close to your ear and you start to turn a dial, you hear the click when you get to the right number, to the right combination. Yes. Well, this is what that transition has been for me. When I aligned with God's purpose, the clicking started happening. Things started clicking in place for me, because I knew that I was aligned with his purpose for my life. One of the most exasperating things and frustrating things is when you are grinding your wheels in tradition. I mean, being an educator is honorable. I mean, it is the one profession that all other professions have to go through. It's education. And so it's honorable. But what do you do when everything that is so traditional and makes sense doesn't align with God's purpose?
How many of us were taught to graduate college and get a good government job and keep it safe, right? And so just stepping out on that faith, stepping out on faith and doing the things that you love to do. So, Rhonda, let me ask you this question. What's coming for you in 2025? You've already talked about the power of just stepping out on faith and taking that lead. I've met so many educators that are burnt out. When I'm working with coaching clients, and I have an outreach campaign right now that we're starting. When I'm working with coaching clients who are educators, I always try, to redirect them, because we need good educators, right? But being that I was an educator who was completely burnt out, I get it, right? And because I moved to something totally different. What is 2025 looking like for you? You got this thing in Kenya that you're doing. You got some workshops that you're launching. Tell us a little bit more about what's happening in 2025.
Okay. Well, in addition to my nonprofit organization, I also have my coaching practice, Rhonda L. Simmons, LLC. I know I got real creative with the name, but hey, I was just determined to get it started. And I've been coaching for the past couple of years, but I've been making it official. I've been what I'm looking forward to in 2025 is not only coaching individuals, but stepping into the corporate arena. As well as, and this is my first time, I think, announcing this publicly, but I'm also starting my Transformative Speakers Academy because as people begin to step up and step out, we've got to know how to speak, publicly, and how to connect with our audience. One of the key ingredients to that is being able to be an excellent storyteller. If you don't master that art, no matter what you say, no matter how right it is, it's going to go over the audience's heads because they want to be able to connect with you. And so I'm going to continue coaching. I've got my Speakers Academy. I'm also about to launch a leadership academy called Dear Future Me Leadership Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
so
make sure we dropping that in the chat. Make sure we drop her stuff in the chat. I know you listening in.
Yes, yes. One of the things as they drop it in the chat, that'll take you to a free checklist. It's called my Wake Up Checklist. Wake Up, it's your purpose calling checklist. Because if you don't align with your purpose, there's really not much point talking with things beyond that because you're misaligned. And you've got to get in alignment with your purpose. So get the checklist. It'll open up your eyes to how out of alignment you may be and how to get into alignment. And so I'm real excited about what God is going to allow me to do. And so we're getting it ready. I'm excited.
Well, Rhonda, you have made the transition. So again, if you're listening in today, you have had an opportunity. I mean, we've had 3 amazing speakers so far, but just the power of people transitioning, taking a step out on faith. I mean, Dominica talked about she was out here driving Uber. Rhonda stepped away from a secure principal job, right? Foregoing tradition to go pursue what it is that she wanted to pursue. So my last question to you, Rhonda, is in 2025, and I got to remember that we are in 2025. This is January 1st, because I keep on saying, what are you going to do next year? In 2025, what, in 30 seconds or less, what advice do you have for people to write their prescription for success?
That prescription would be get in alignment with God's purpose for your life. And number 2, be consistent in it. Consistency is key. It's everything.
Yes.
And that's my intention word for 2025, consistent.
That's my word too. I'm like, even if I'm doing these workshops and 2 people come, I'm going to do them. I remember I worked with a business coach. She was like, you need to do the workshops. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But, I was like, man, if I had done it, I probably would have built it up by now. So guys, again, it's about putting yourself out there, being positive, taking a shot on yourself. And that's what this is all about. Rhonda, you are amazing. We want to say thank you. We wish you the best in 2025. We're going to reshare your links again for those who didn't get it. So drop it in the chat again, Jules first. And we are going to move on to our next guest. You have an amazing year ahead, Rhonda. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. All right. So, if you know me, if you know anything about me, I keep taking my glasses off because I want you guys to see me without these glasses, right? Because I have to wear them, otherwise I'm blind. But if you know me, you know that this year I entered into doing beauty pageants. Okay, I started doing beauty pageants this year. And I'm going to tell you 2 of the reasons why I started doing beauty pageants. One was I met Miss Black Ohio. And then I also met Miss Black Texas, 2 beautiful women that came on my stage to talk about their platforms or the things that they were passionate about. Now, Kiara, can you hear me? I noticed that you're on mute. So I met 2 beautiful women who came on the stage to talk about what they were passionate about. And let me see if I can get her off. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. So I'm going to take Kyra out. And let's see. Kyra, can you hear me? And I'll come back to you. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Kyra out. It looks like we're having some technical difficulties. And then I'm going to move on to our next speaker, which is Catherine, because I see her in the queue. Oh, well, I see you, Kyra. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
I'm like, yeah.
Okay, because I was telling you on, but you was doing everything. Listen,
There you go.
This year I ventured into beauty pageants and I met these beautiful women, Miss Black Ohio and Miss Black Texas. I didn't know anything about doing a beauty pageant. And really, when I met you guys, it really wasn't my intent to do anything except for to have you to come speak on the various platforms that I was hosting. And so Kyra is a lawyer. She came and she spoke. And let me tell you something. All of the seminars that the women do for us through the safe group, which hopefully becomes a foundation at some point, all of those seminars are meaningful. But Kyra's in particular, hers and Alana's, Kyra's was how to start a nonprofit. That was the first event that we ever had where all of the tickets were quote unquote sold out. And then that was followed by Alana, who wasn't able to make it today, who did a workshop for us on grant writing. And there was so much value. Like, you didn't just come and do this free workshop for us and go, well, okay, if you want to start a nonprofit, here you can do A, B, and C. No, you literally gave us so much valued information. I still have women asking we recorded that event, and it's there for the women of Safe. And they still are asking for that link, or I'm still sharing that link for other women who want to start a nonprofit. And I just saw that you ran for office. You've been a queen. You introduced me to the Miss Black USA pageant. You have been a queen. You are a lawyer. You are a young mom. You guys own if I remember correctly, you own a food pantry. You are, just an amazing person. And so I think I gave you a heck of an introduction there. But you're just such a sweetheart and a pleasure to work with. So, Kyra, I just want to turn this over to you and just say, looking back on all the awesome things that you have done in 2024. When you look back, reflect a little bit, and then tell us what's ahead for you in 2025.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. I appreciate you. And really a lot of that is just like resilience. And that's really like what my reflection of 2024 is.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to say how we met. I met you because you came and you did one of my DEI panels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And like honestly, resilience is, so I had my baby in July of 2023. So 2024 came up a couple of months after that. And so I'm trying to get back into, I'm a new wife, a new lawyer, I just became a new mom. And so all of those things in one, I've seen my ancestors, as far as like my aunts and grandmas and all them, sometimes maybe give up on their dreams once you start to have that family life. And so I wanted to make sure that my son saw that you can still live out your purpose, you can still do your assignment. And I believe that he's going to respect me more for like pushing through to give him actual steps and skill set. So really that's what I kind of hopped into 2024 with, like, what do I need to do to get back into me? And I always wanted to go I am an advocate for civil rights and things of that nature, but I plan on running for office at some point in life. But I was like, you know what, why am I waiting until I'm like 40, 50? Like, I'm just gonna run right now and see what happens. And so I ran as an independent candidate. Now, while I wasn't successful in the race, it honestly built so much character. It let me know more things that were going on in the community, and allowed me to really see what I needed to do, or how much impact you can make outside of an office position. And so I would say that's really my reflection on 2024 is resilience, to keep going, and just knowing that there's something greater outside of yourself that you need to work on to help your community.
Okay, so again, if you're listening in, I try to pull something from everybody. This girl literally went from, okay, I'm a beauty queen. Okay, let's give you credit for that, because I got to give credit to my sister in terms of us, because I know this was my first time taking the stage, and I have to do it with these glasses on because I thought I was going to fall off. But it was just such a tremendous and amazing experience. You went from doing that, the fact that you're already a lawyer, but you went, and a wife and a mom. You went from doing that to say, look, I'm going to run for, what was the position that you ran for?
Yes, I ran for Justice of the Peace. So it's like judge of civil court.
So you ran for justice of the peace, but here's the thing that she did, right? It seemed like I remember you posted something about like writing your name in, right?
Yes.
You had this, so she didn't. She ran as an independent candidate. You had to write her name in. So she said, "I'm going to do this, even if I have to do it as an independent candidate. Write my name in." And she was still out there campaigning with the big dogs. Okay. If you look on her social media, so what I'm saying is, it's just about the power of mindset and being able to push forward. I have people all the time. Well, why are you doing what you're doing? Why you questioning me? But you have to do whatever God put in your space or your realm. You have to just go for it. Don't worry about the resource. All those things will come. You got to push for what you want, and that's what you did. I find that about you to be so amazing. I pop up. I look on you. I look on your Instagram each week. I'm looking at something different. Some community that you're doing. You're engaging. Work solutions that we really. I've kind of calmed down on the terminology because people are not as familiar with the term social impact, but that doesn't mean that my focus has changed in terms of social impact. I just say more so community engagement, right? Because people are more familiar with that terminology, but you are committed to social impact, community engagement, and committed to make a difference. And God has some great things for you ahead. Now let's talk about the ahead and what 2025 looks like for you. What's on the platform? Now make sure you promote that law firm or make sure you dropping that stuff in the chat, Jules. Which I know she got it, but I just like drop it twice if we can.
No, that's perfect. Really, I would say 2025 is really going to be a continuation of what we're doing, but also just putting out more messaging. So my husband and I have a law firm, Mofwani Legal Group. We're nonprofit attorneys, so we help organizations, faith-based groups, and businesses bring their vision to life, basically through legal and grant writing. So we'll continue to do that with organizations. But one thing that we are focused on, we started a project called Freedom Together Coalition, and it's a coalition of nonprofits that are geared towards self-determination, liberation, and circulating the Black dollar. So basically, we have 9 committees and a group of nonprofits here in Houston, Texas, who are going to share our grants. We're going to share our resources to start building institutions for ourselves so that we can be self-sufficient, whether that's growing food, adding AI technology, and things of that nature. And so that's really going to be the focus this year, because we don't necessarily need others to be able to make sure that we're sustained. I really want to focus this year on the message of being able to create things for ourselves, being able to sustain for ourselves. Our generation doesn't necessarily know how to garden, doesn't know how to get water from a water well, like basic survival things. We rely so much on Instacart, because I Instacart my groceries too.
I only know how to order some smart water, and I can the sun, even though people don't say they don't like it, but yeah, I don't.
Exactly. So it's all about being self-sufficient this year. That is definitely going to be what 2025 looks like for me. And honestly, the power of moving in silence, to be honest, I think that there's so much chaos going on that we always feel like we have to respond, that we always have to not be in control of our emotions or have that emotional intelligence to know what's necessary for the greater good. And so just, really teaching the community about emotional intelligence and operating out of a high functioning mindset.
Right. Emotional intelligence is so important. Now, just because, we see these things taking place and going on, right? But I don't really involve my business in the politics but I still do the work of DEI. So I have all of these different people that I work with. So all of us have this sense of awareness of what's going on, but people can vote for who they want to vote for. They can engage who they want to. I'm in the military. That's the whole purpose of me serving, right? So that people have their freedom of choice. You see these things going on and taking place, and sometimes it's hard not to respond emotionally, especially when you see how it impacts your own community. But you do better being a person who connects with everybody and engage and bringing everybody to the table from my standpoint, and then you can do the work to change the outcomes of your community or the groups that you work with, right? Because be somebody for everybody. You're open. I 100% agree. Right, because it takes a lot of emotional control. Sometimes I see crazy stuff on the internet, and I'll be like, "Let me type something, let you know, right? That I watch TGI Fridays, and I still got 3 master's degrees and a PhD. So, it's like, let me let you know. But it takes a lot of emotional control, and the whole point is that we're committed to making a difference and being an impact. Then you have to stay focused on doing that work. And so when you talk about writing you talk about writing the prescription for change, you are the prescription for change. When you talk about writing this prescription for change,
yeah,
what is the prescription for change? Well, let me say, I have to the prescription for success. I'm getting fumbled here because you are doing so much for the prescription. When you talk about writing the prescription for success in 2025, what advice and positive words you want to share with people, to keep that going?
Absolutely. I would say that the prescription is to act with intention. Everything that we do has a consequence, a reaction, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And so you must know the power of your words and your actions, and know that everything that you do is going to follow with a result. And so if we have more intention behind what we're doing, we're slowing down to truly think about what's next and what's best for our family and our community, then we'll have more positive outcomes. So I would say act with intention.
Act with intention. Be consistent. I mean, so far, that's what I've gotten from the speakers. Act with intention. Be consistent. Don't be afraid to take a shot. Run the left. Ain't no way in the world I would have left a principal job, right? It takes a lot to do that, but I get it because I was an educator for 20 years. You get burnt out. You get tired. And you want to do something different. And I try to, like, when I have teachers come to me, I try to go like, okay, are you sure you want to do this, right? Because you want good educators to stay. But if you have a vision that has been given to you, you have to fulfill that. So again, I love that. Very simple. Act with intention.
Absolutely.
Be intentional. Like this girl out here, an independent candidate. Okay, you know what? Write my name in. Just write it in. You know what I mean? And you got to have that kind of attitude by any means necessary. Okay. Mm-hmm. Listen, fantastic, Kyara. All right, Miss Black Texas USA, lawyer, advocate. I mean, just doing your thing, girl. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations to you.
I'm proud of you too. Congrats on your pageant. I was watching the video.
I got Miss first winner up. It was very exciting, and I have some great things coming. I'm Miss Maryland, Miss Northern States, Miss Maryland, America's United States. Like it's so many. Like I got 3 different pageants that I'm doing next year, but it's just going to be exciting to represent all of these platforms. And of course, I'm Miss Black Germantown USA, right? And shout out to the Miss Black USA pageant. Okay. You have a wonderful year, Kyara, and I'm wishing you the best.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. All right, guys, I'm going to bring on our next guest, and I hope that you are learning something from our fantastic speakers today. Okay, this has just really been empowering because you get to hear their experiences and their perspective. Now, I want to talk to you about Kathy. I approached Kathy to be on one of my DEI panels. Now, the first panel she couldn't make it, but the thing with Kathy was she was in the chat. She was still promoting us. She was still, and then she was able to come on and she shared such a positive word. She shared. What I'm trying to say. She is traveling the world, making a global impact on DEI. She is just so engaging, and her words of wisdom were just so positive. So I am so excited because I just love the fact. I know it seems small, Kathy, but it just, to me, it was like that first time that you couldn't. It's the fact that you kept promoting and kept sharing the message, even when you couldn't make it, right? And I was, and then when we were able to have you on, you shared such insight, and just you have traveled the world advocating for women, teaching leadership, and just an all-around amazing person. And so I am so excited to introduce Dr. Kathy Holt. She is a women's leadership and empowerment champion. So Kathy, tell us about your successes in 2024 and what is the look back and the road ahead for you as a coach and your experiences.
Thank you so much, Dr. Christie, and welcome everybody and Happy New Year. I have fallen in love with Dr. Christie and all she does. I do work in the DEI space, but my area of, I guess you could say, expertise is more along women and women's empowerment. Mm-hmm. I work some with NGOs that work around the world, and I also work with the UN and also privately with clients here in the United States. But 2024 was really quite a year for me. I decided to really focus on women's leadership. I think there are many places in the world and here in the US where we're going a little backwards as far as women's rights and women's empowerment and recognizing the power of women in leadership. because we do present our ideas and have different ideas than the standard, what's the status quo. And I do believe that every woman has what it takes to be a leader, because if you look at the new paradigm of leadership, all those things that used to be called soft skills that were just, women's things, they're interpersonal skills that are now considered top qualities in leaders. It's not the old curmudgeon sitting in his office, barking out orders. That's not what a leader is anymore. And so I really do believe we need more women in leadership. But in 2024, I was able to collaborate with several different women on books about women in leadership as collaborative efforts. And I was even asked to write the foreword for one of the books, which was quite an honor. And it's the Mission Accepted 262 Women's Project. And that got me into this group of incredible women, 262 women. There's actually now more, where we provide summits, we provide these kinds of activities, live events, just for free. Like
Did
this
you
one.
not travel to like the Oscars or the Emmys? Like, was it?
Yes, I was getting to that. So through this book, since I wrote the foreword, I was asked to represent the book at a celebrity gifting event at the Emmys. And it was so empowering to see all these people. You kind of think about people in that industry, in the industry of, of movie making and producing, as kind of in their own world. They are not. They are so connected, and they are so, especially in that industry, wanting women and more women to have their voice, because we do present things differently, and we need to show up and speak up. So that was quite incredible. That also launched me into writing my own book.
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
So I'm finishing it up this weekend, and it will actually be part of a gifting event at the Oscars, because of my connections. So
you travel the world teaching women about leadership. Yeah. You're this DEI advocate. You wrote a foreword to a book that gave you the opportunity to go and be at the Oscars. You're writing your own, at the Emmys, you're writing your own book that will be at the Oscars. Girl, you are doing your thing, okay? And the fact that what I love about you is that you recognize this, like, to your point, that as women, the thing, women are so emotional. Women are, you know what I mean? But recognizing the potential of all women and the work that you do to advocate for us to have a sense of equity and access in terms of those platforms. Mm-hmm. But the other piece, guys, if you're tuning in, it's just like, write that book, okay? Write that book. Run that business. You can end up traveling the world and going to the Emmys and the Oscars. I mean, I know it's about so much more than that, but Kathy, like, your level of influence is just beyond, like, okay, you do the work of the leadership, but those are all holistic things, right? That people see, because you have followed this path, this vision that you have, and then you're going out there and you're doing it. You're wrapping up writing your book, and it's like, okay, it's going to be at the Oscars. Oh, you just so casually say, well, my book, it'll be at the Oscars, okay? Right? It's just like all of these successes that you have. So when we talk about you going into 2025, what is that looking like? In 2025, what does the rest of this year, the road ahead, look like for you? Because you're doing all this great work.
Well, and it is exciting. And you talked about emotional intelligence, or being emotional intelligence. We're really good at that. And that's what these leadership skills are. And I know some of the other speakers have talked about that. But going into 2025, my purpose, I've decided in life, is to create a movement of women leaders. We need them. They're just, the world needs them. And so I will be continuing to do my writing and trying to expand my work with a lot of different women's groups. And I think the message I would say for 2025 is to have a growth mindset, to really trust that there are opportunities, to be open to them when they present themselves, and just be aware, because there is so much going on in the world, and we need to tap into it. We need to speak up. We need to stand up and speak out. And having that growth mindset, you feel that, yes, there are good things happening, and you just need to tune into them. Being with this group, this Mission Accepted group, we believe in collaboration, not competition. And I think that's a woman's mindset also. And so just say yes. I mean, if you think something, all your speakers so far today have said yes to something they believed in and something that they felt was their purpose. So say yes, try it.
Oh my God, I want to ask you, well, what is your, you see me looking over here like, okay, I want to ask you, what is your prescription for success? But I feel like you've already given us the formula, right? I mean, it was like, oh, I forgot it that fast because you said say yes, but it was something that you just said before that besides the growth mindset. I mean, that just talks about going out there and do it. And I had the 2 words, but tune in. Tune in, because sometimes we are tuned out, right? And that's that tune in to yourself and being tuned into what's happening globally and what's happening in the world, because sometimes we feel like, and that is the context of the question, tuning in and having a growth mindset, because sometimes we feel like that we can't make an impact. And so when you talk about this prescription for success in 2025, I still can ask you that question, even though you've already given us such great wisdom, because you said tune in. But what does that prescription for success look like, Kathy?
Well, I think what it looks like is, as all your other speakers have also said, if there's something that you're passionate about, do it. Try it. It's baby steps. You don't, wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to be a leader. All the women I've worked with were aspiring to do something different, to make change happen. They saw something that they didn't want to be the way it was. And so the prescription for me is just recognizing that you have a voice and just do it. I mean, I know that's a commercial and everything, but it's so true that, just as all your speakers have said, find out what you really care about and then figure out a way to do it.
Do you see resource as a limitation? If you say resources versus mindset in terms of limitations, what advice would you give? What should you give?
Yeah, resources can definitely be limiting, but I think once you decide what you really want to do and collaborate or find other like-minded people, those resources, and it's not just money, sometimes it's time, and sometimes it's energy, and sometimes it's just feeling like you're out there all alone. So finding those like-minded people that you want to be with, and that you can also share your ideas and what you see as a future. And that is a resource too, having that collaborative energy. And then oftentimes, those resources start being attracted to all that positive energy.
Yes, it's about the energy that you put out there too.
Yes, exactly. And the energy you put out, it comes back. It really does. And that's what this past year has been. I put out a lot of energy. I found these groups that I could really collaborate with and partner with. And it's come back 100-fold for me.
Kathy, you are an amazing person. The work that you do is impactful, seeing the potential in all women and just going out there and doing the work of making sure that we stay connected and engaged with each other. I'm so grateful for people like you. I'm so grateful for people who say, stay tuned in, tune in, don't tune out, have a growth mindset, because sometimes we need that practical advice. But I mean, the most impactful thing I got from you is like the tune in, right? Staying connected, because that tune in is going to keep you in a growth mindset. Kathy, you are wonderful. I hope, I hope, did you already submit your stuff for the magazine? Because we definitely want to see.
I need to do that. It's
the book. Kathy in the Work Global News magazine. You are amazing. And we wish you the best of luck this year.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Christy, for all you do and all these speakers. I've been listening since the beginning. Everybody's so amazing, and we need more of us. and we need
passionate people who are doing the work. Again, starting where we are and not being afraid to step out. Yeah. So we shared your information in the chat. Kathy, thank you. And you have an amazing new year. Thank you.
You too. All right.
All right. All right. So, guys, we have had about 5 or 6 speakers come on. We're about halfway through. And I'm going to bring on our next speaker, Anthony Fresina. And if I said your name wrong, Anthony, you can just correct me, okay? Because Anthony, did I say it right, Anthony?
Your last name? Fresina, yes.
Christy, all right, Anthony. Back in July, we had I believe it was a disabilities panel. I believe that's where Anthony joined us.
That is correct. That is correct.
And he is a heck of an advocate, okay? I see you all the time on your Instagram and on your Facebook, and you do such great work. And I believe, and I'm just going based on what I remember, you're joining us out of Canada?
Ontario, Canada.
Oh, my goodness, I remember. But Anthony is just such an advocate. He does great work in the disability space, but just teaching people about, their potential in general, because we do these panels and then somehow we end up still always having discussions about mindset and growth. And so I'm looking at Anthony's work that he do, and it's just like he's always speaking somewhere or presenting at an event or doing his own thing. And I'm just like always excited to see that. So I'm going to hand it over to our next speaker, Anthony Fresina. And you can introduce yourself, Anthony, a little bit more than what I introduced you. But again, you do fantastic work. And so I want you to talk a little bit about the look back, right, in 2024, because I keep forgetting we're in 2025. The look back, what was it like for you last year? What were some of your successes? And, including that some great, the advice, because you got some great energy, as well as, what is 2025 looking like for you, the road ahead?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good now, everybody. Dr. Christy, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here once again. Before I look back to 2024, I want to actually look back to June 13th, 2005, the inception of the AODA, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. And the reason why I want to look back to June 13th, 2005 is because that was the day that Ontario set a 20-year plan to be fully accessible by January 1st, 2025. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. Have we come a long way? Absolutely. But there's still a lot more work to be done, and people like me, advocates for accessibility and inclusion, are pioneers, because the lived experience doesn't get the notoriety nor the respect that it deserves. Now, flashback to 2024, I used the word growth for me as a year, and being on your stage back in July in 2024 and being amongst the who's who with Amazon Canada, amplifying technology and the lived experience and what technology means for people with disabilities, not only as a need, but as a want, and ensuring that people with disabilities can afford this, to live the quality of life that we choose to live. I identify as a white male wearing glasses and a blue shirt and a blue tie. Behind me is my credenza with above and beyond stuff that I have going on. And understanding the fact that when you've met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. And going forward and looking back on 2024, the word was growth. And understanding that my growth has been monumental. But, that's only a validation for the work that still has yet to be done, starting today, January 1st, 2025. Ontario had the plan to be fully accessible by 2025, January 1st, but we're nowhere close.
What successes do you feel like when you talk about 2025? Because first of all, Anthony, this is why these types of discussions are important, right? We did this. Oh, I can't remember everybody's name, but they're featured on the website because it was just, we had a young lady that came in and did the podcast, and she did the podcast about something totally different, but she was a DEI advocate. And then we got into a conversation, and I said, oh, she was like, oh, did you know that July was Disability Pride Month? And I remember asking some people to come on and talk, and they giving me their spiel about how they believe in gay pride. And I was like, it had nothing to do with gay pride. It just is disability pride. Like I was like, people need to be educated, period. Or when we talk about DEI and people forget the A. So that's why, like, no matter what I talk, I say DEIA. Like, people need to be educated, period, on what this stuff is and what inclusion really means, right? And that's how we got into that conversation that we ended up having that panel. And you call your business Above and Beyond. Can you tell me a little bit about, because that's something I didn't ask you when we talk about what made you name your business that, and it is a part of your successes for 2024, and then definitely launch into what's happening in 2025.
Yeah, so Above and Beyond really started in 2016 when I was given the opportunity to showcase the brand and produce a TV show here in Hamilton. And I needed a name for it. And, I called it Above and Beyond because Above and Beyond really means going beyond the status quo, going beyond the minimum standard, going beyond compliance, and utilizing the lived experience of people with disabilities. I live in Hamilton, Ontario. The percentage of people with disabilities in Hamilton is 27.7%, which is greater than the provincial and national averages. In Canada, we have over 8 million Canadians that identify as members of the disability community. In the US, over 60 million identify as members of the disability community. Worldwide, over 1.1 billion people identify as members of the disability community. Disability is not only a possibility now, it's an inevitability. And we need to be proactive rather than reactive to assure quality of life for everybody is attained, maintained, and sustained throughout one's lifespan.
So when you talk about 2025 and you said Canada's not there yet, tell me a little about how you plan to continue the work and the advocacy that you do through legislative, because you're definitely involved in stuff, legislative events and your business and organization.
Just continuing to have the voices and turn the voices into action. I've been working actually with the City of Toronto over the last couple of years right now, and they're listening to the lived experience. They're listening and utilizing lived experience through my voice, through the voices of many people that live in Toronto and in Hamilton, and understanding that a minimum standard is not fair for people with disabilities. A compliance level is not fair. You have the ADA in America, we have the AODA in Canada, which is the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. There's no teeth to it. There's no an understanding of it because it's not enforced as it should be. So we need enforceable laws. We need people with disabilities. We need to alleviate the attitudes and the misconceptions of what disability looks like to what it really is. And being able to given and provided the accommodations so that people with disabilities can not only survive, but thrive. Looking forward to the future in 2025, Above and Beyond is really about taking it to that next level, showcasing the ability, showcasing opportunity when given the right accommodations for persons with disabilities. And accommodations, as of now, are negotiable. But let me alleviate that and say they're non-negotiable. What I need as a person with a disability is different than what somebody else may need as a person with a disability. And the fact that we have this negotiation status and this negotiation platform is something that we really need to go away from, because everything and anything for providing accessibility and inclusion is attainable. But the hindrance comes as cost. But we've got to look at it as an investment. When you're investing in the lives of people with disabilities, you're creating prosperity for everybody.
I love that. What I love, and somebody said it in the chat, that you're on fire with, Jacob said Anthony is bringing it, right? You are on fire. I'm like, I watch you on social media. I watch the work that you do. You are like a no excuses. You like, okay, yeah, you got a law, but that ain't good enough. Like, you got to have some meat to it. And what I love about you, Anthony, is that you are holding people accountable. Remember that the people in government work for you, holding them accountable, but engaging with people, advocating and speaking up. There's literally, for anything, you talk about 2025 being a year of growth, there is literally no excuse for anybody. You have been on my DEI panels. You are submitting to magazines. And I'm not just talking about the stuff you've done with Work Solutions. I'm not even, you work with the Canadian government, like your local government. I mean, you are an amazing advocate in person in terms of the work that you do. Is there anything specific regarding your business Above and Beyond in terms of the next level of where you want to take that in 2025? And then, of course, I have to ask you that last question about that prescription for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've written a book entitled Above and Beyond, chronicling my story. up until this point today, and what we need to continue to do as allies. We have to remember the word allyship. Nothing gets done alone. You have to work with people. You have to increase your voices. And for me, it's always been about getting out there and not utilizing just the voice, but utilizing the action behind the voice. Not saying something, not being content with what we're given, fighting for what we deserve, and fighting in the way that gives everybody the opportunity. In terms of the business, it's about now working with the city of Toronto, utilizing the lived experience, amplifying my book. My website has been relaunched today. I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews today with that January 1st deadline happening today, of accessibility and not being there. In 2023 in Ontario, we had an accessibility crisis for people with disabilities, and we're still not there. We're still not out of the rabbit hole, so to speak. We have to continue to evolve and ensure that people with disabilities are equitable members of our communities. And Above and Beyond does that through my consulting business, through the book that I have, through the speaking that I do, through the evolution of Above and Beyond is something that I'm looking forward to 2025. And my word this year is alignment. Alignment means putting everything together and ensuring quality of life for people with disabilities, which part and parcel ensures quality of life for everybody. Because accessibility and inclusion resolutions are not just for people with disabilities, it creates a collective prosperity. And that's really what I look forward to.
I love that. So again, when we talk about DEI, don't forget the A. Okay, that's why in my framework I use the whole thing, the DEIA, because so many people get it confused as to what this is about. Right? When you do this type of work and this type of advocacy, I appreciate your tenacity, your determination. Like, I mean, you just, I just the attitude of just being straightforward, hardcore, and to the point about, hey, here's exactly what we need. Here's what I'm advocating for. I respect that so much about the work that you do. Like I say, I'm always looking at you, the stuff that you posted on your Instagram and Facebook, because you're very active and always sharing information. Anthony, 30 seconds or less. Tell me what your perspective, and we're sharing his information in the chat, Above and Beyond Media, on Instagram, Above Beyond for you, and his Facebook page, okay, as well as his website. Listen, Anthony, my final question to you is, and you kind of already said it because you gave me your word for 2025, but what is your prescription for success in 2025? What advice would you give to anybody who's listening in today?
Well, the DEIA approach is something that I also utilize in my business. But I transpose the letters. I transpose it to IDEA, idea. Having the idea of accessibility and inclusion at the forefront of conversation, getting things right at the beginning rather than seeking validation at the end of a project, whether it be tangible or intangible, and getting it done is really where we need to go with our mindsets. As for 2025, for me, it's all about change, prosperous change for everybody. When we choose to include, everybody wins.
I love that. Including everybody wins. You have these mantras and these words that you're using. Anthony, you have done fantastic work. I appreciate and respect your advocacy, and I wish you the best as we move into 2025. Thank you so much for today.
Dr. Christie, the best to you and everybody, and thanks so much for having me today.
All right. Thank you so much, Anthony. Fantastic, amazing work that you're doing. All right, everybody. We have had some fantastic speakers, and I'm looking forward to our next speaker because, me being a military person, so if you're tuning in, I have no, I'm not going to have him Captain Taylor right in the Air Force. And a lot of people don't know that, but it is so hard for me to go, hey, Paul, how you doing? When I am talking to Colonel Paul Lawrence, retired Air Force veteran, Colonel Paul Lawrence Van. So very hard for me to say, but I'll say, Paul, how are you doing? I had an opportunity to meet Paul when he came on and he did one of my DEI panels focused on women. And I think you were the only guy on that panel, but I said, okay, you do so much work around advocacy and women and training leadership. Plus you are a Federal Air Force veteran, of course. And then I had an opportunity to do your podcast. You do some amazing work where you traveling the world, you talking, you speaking and training people on leadership. And you were another one of those people where, we started a conversation on the podcast and I think we were talking for a good hour, and that's how it always works. And so I'm so excited to introduce today Colonel Paul Lawrence Vann. He's a speaker and best-selling author. And so with that, let me turn it over to you to talk about some of your successes in 2024 and the things that you about the road ahead in 2025. Paul, you are on mute. So it's still muted. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take you off and I'm going to introduce the next speaker and put you back in the queue, okay? Give you a second there. So we're having some technical difficulties. Okay. I'm going to take you out, Paul, and then it's still mute. So let me give you an opportunity to fix that. So listen, we got to keep it going because you know who. If you are listening, stuff happens, right? We got to keep it moving. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Miss Tiffany Hall. Now let's talk about it. Tiffany, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, so let's talk about this amazing woman. First of all, she's not just a coach. I consider her a friend, somebody who I built a connection with over time. But Tiffany actually served as a coach for me when it came to really introducing me to this concept of public speaking and what that would be like. She taught me how to do my 15-minute TED Talk and how to really begin the process of pitching myself. And that's how we became connected on a personal level. And then I had an opportunity to attend one of your events that you hosted. And then you came and you did a fantastic workshop for us, and we did a kind of podcast out for the Strategic Alliance for African American Female Entrepreneurs, and we have just continued to be engaged. And one of the things I want to say about Tiffany, that she's one of the best coaches when it comes to training people about public speaking, but she has had this amazing gift of manifestation, right? And she's going to share a little bit about this. I was looking at your Facebook page last night. You was like, okay, I went from working in a corner office in my house to like literally having a corner office all within a matter of a year. So again, guys, we'll bring Paul back on in a moment and we'll try again. But we're going to talk to Tiffany for a minute because you have an amazing story and you're doing some amazing work in lunch and several projects. Okay, I got to remember that you're my friend, so I'll be trying to sing your praises, right? And so let me turn it over to Tiffany to introduce herself and about the work that she does.
Sure. First and foremost, I want to thank you for this opportunity. And this literally speaks to the power of connecting and investing. One thing that I want to give you credit for, when you decided to bring me on as a coach, because I don't like the word hire, but when you decided to bring me on as a coach, you were determined. Listen, I'm not starting one day with you until I pay you in full. And I was like, no, you're fine.
And plus, I needed to be ready,
you're
right?
Fine, right?
Just
right.
randomly.
Yeah, I was like, no, you pay me half. Come on, let's get these dates scheduled. And you told me no, and I respected that. But then when we started. Oh my gosh, you have not stopped since our first conversation. So I am so proud of you. Know that this friendship has blossomed, because once you go from coach to just listen, we're peers now. It's a matter of I still reach out to you. I still correct this, do that, do this, show up. But that's the power of connection. So when we talk about looking back at 2024 and looking ahead at 2025, just very briefly want to share 3 things with you. Okay. First of all, reflect and correct. Look back at 2024. Look at those things. Reflect upon those things that worked. If it didn't work, correct it. If you feel as though that it was something viable, it was something valuable, it was something that could become something, correct it. If not, what do? We eject it. We get rid of it. That thing from 2024 that worked, continue to do it. Just do more of it. So that's reflect and correct. Connect and disconnect. Connect and get in those spaces that you need to be in. Those spaces that are going to scale your business, that are going to help you to grow, that are going to get you to that next level where you need to be. You and I started out, I was responsible for your messaging. I was responsible for your speaking. I was not responsible for Work RX Solutions as a business on the financial.
But I will say though, it was with you because I've worked with coaches, and one of the things that we, when because I had my business coaches, right? We were talking about the prescription, but it was like, it was through working with you through that signature talk and that piece where it's like, oh, the prescription for change, the prescription for success, right? And that's where this whole mantra, like we said we were the prescription, but I wasn't really pushing that. Right. But it was after our discussions and the way that we worked through that process where all of my branding material became the prescription for career.
And understanding that that's a coach's responsibility. Because what were you looking at before? And I was like, I don't know about that one. You know what I mean? Because literally you're in a workforce solutions space.
Yes.
Industry. That's what you do. And you have to be connected to somebody that you trust to be able to do that. I did the same thing. And we've had those conversations. When I thought about Positive, I was like, this is the dumbest name in the world. Ain't nobody, they're going to be like, Positive, what is that? But the more and more I put it out there to people, the more and more I talked about it, it became a brand. It became a household name. And explaining it clearly, again, that's what a lot of people don't do. You have this message and it's not clear. Positive is clear. Work RX Solutions is very clear. So therefore, the messaging is clear. You don't have to take time to explain to, well, what's positive? Positive is a play on my word, on my name, on the word positive, my name, Tiffany, and the word positive. And people are like, oh, Work RX Solutions. It is the solution to your workforce problems.
Exactly.
Again, connect and then disconnect from what you need and don't be afraid to disconnect. A lot of people are afraid to disconnect from those things that are no longer serving them.
Yes.
They'll be in spaces, they're not growing, they're not scaling, they're not generating revenue. It's just a fan club. We don't want fan clubs in 2025. We want those opportunities that are going to help us to scale, that are going to help our businesses to grow. And then finally, protect it. What you've built, protect by any means necessary. Some people may see it as being, a little obnoxious, a little atrocious. No, I built this brand. I don't want this brand to be anything but what I deemed it to be. Protect it at all costs.
So when you talk about the brand you built, I do want to make sure that we highlight, this piece of you sharing your personal story in terms of like you built a brand, you took a leap of faith, because this is what this is all about. You built a brand focused on sharing your story in public speaking. Right. But I want you to make sure that you just share, in a minute, because I want to ask you some other questions of the story of like, I have this brand. You were telling me like, hey, I felt called to stay at home and do this work. I mean, I just saw the other day where you were recognized for something else. You went from working in your office, at home to, you got a whole building now in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So you got to make sure, I'm going to keep it at a minute, Tiffany, so that we keep the conversation moving. But can you tell us this story? Like because you're like, man, I'm funding this myself. People stepping in to help you pay for this. And you got grant funding and donors. Just an amazing leap of faith that you've taken this year to transition your business to be broader and grow.
Sure. Once I got really clear, I was clear, but once I got really clear and I shut down the noise and I learned to communicate, not just speak, communicate with intention. I prayed with intention. How I see myself in 2025, I've already prayed for. How I seen myself at the end of 2024, I prayed for this time in 2024. And those things just became like, okay, the confirmations of that you had faith. You stepped out, you weren't afraid, you did it unapologetically. I'm going to show you that this is the next thing. And I'll say this to you, everything that you're seeing as of recent, even the building, it's just been since October. It's just been since October. The recognition with the look, I'm getting the appointment to the advisory committee by our Pennsylvania governor, that just came about the beginning of December. The consultant position to be the domestic violence specialist, that just came about. It was about showing up and getting in spaces and telling my story unapologetically very quickly. I'm a survivor of intimate partner domestic violence. I was stabbed 7 times. No, I don't look like it. I'm not supposed to look like it. So we took that message and made healing a positive experience. What does that look like? So essentially, in moving forward and telling that story unapologetically, those things begin to manifest more and more.
You again, we're listening into somebody who, when you hear tip, because I know you don't focus so much on the story per se, right? But when you hear somebody who says, I was stabbed this many times, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, took that and turned that into a whole platform where she's out here mentoring women, teaching them how to speak. But then you're being appointed to things by the government. You just never know what the experiences that you have and where it's going to lead you.
Yes.
So, I mean, you kind of already told us what it's going to look like for you going into 2025. Now, you are launching a group, a coaching program, right? Let's make sure that we talk about that, because it is so important as a business owner. And I might do a workshop for the safe space when we talk about, you know, like, you know, we had to put together my coaching, not my coaching, but my media kit. It is so important for you as a business owner. I think that's probably, in even working with you, Tiffany, that was probably one of the most the transformative things that I got from that experience, because that media kit has been the segue to allow me to be able to get to these bigger platforms. I mean, I've spoken at Walmart. I'm speaking at American University next week. Being able to frame and present yourself and put your strongest self up front. So the things that you provide, just even sometimes just even on your Facebook page and free information you give away. You're starting a group next year. I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because what we need as business owners.
Sure. So Positive Speakers Academy is just what you said. It is resources, it is training to get that message clear. It's those things that can be provided to you to get you on your way as a speaker. So when you talk about a media kit, I think it's amazing. And again, you know me, so you know I'm not about fluff. I'm not about put the stuff in your bio. I'm about fact checking, because at any given moment, you know, we're in an internet world where people will go search you.
Yes,
they will go search you. So I literally promote everything you do the work and do it with integrity. Don't invest in taking these, you know, these fast, oh, I can get you here, there. Nobody can. It's been 20 years for me. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, it'll be as long for you or anybody else, but invest in and get connected with people who honestly know this is what you need to do. And it may happen a little quicker. Again, it's a matter of the work that you're willing to put in, because I can't make you do anything. I can give you the stuff, I can take you to the water, but I can't make you drink. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. So Positive Speakers Academy is exactly that. It's about providing those tools and those resources, a professional headshot. I cannot stress enough a professional high resolution photo. Not that selfie with your iPhone, or you're definitely not your Android. It's like, no, but that professional photo. I'm going to say this, and these next two things, it might make some people upset, but you already know, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to be that uncommon coach. You want to speak in an academic setting, and you put your PhD on there, and it's honorary. You can't speak in an academic setting where all of these people who focus on academia have invested in their craft, and you went to a leadership academy and you're Dr. Tiffany Hall. No, or never step foot in a college or on a college campus. We got to stop that. Lifetime Achievement Awards. I'm going to ask you in 2025, literally, what did you do to get recognized by the President of the United States? And yes, it's a service award, but literally stop investing in those things to get ahead quicker. And then finally, I just had this conversation. I am not impressed with those things at the beginning of your bio that have no validity. No validity. You've done this, you've done that. No, I want to see the stuff that attracts.
Put the strongest.
Come on, put the meat.
Strongest. I think that
come on.
When people read my bio now, it's like Dr. Christy Taylor has taught on the campus of Yale University.
And we moved that one, we made that one change.
It makes such a difference.
Yep.
When you talk about and we're sharing your information, we've dropped it in the chat because you give so much free advice and you just have such affordable and accessible programming. You know, when you talk about the final question I'm going to ask you, Tiffany, is what advice would you give? You know, what is your prescription for success in 2025? What advice would you give? 30 seconds or less.
Master the art of communication in every space. How you talk to yourself, how you talk to others, what you say to you about you, what you say to you about your business, how you show up, how you communicate. Anybody can speak. In 2025, I want you to learn to communicate.
That is so important. I'm really just learning the value of, like, okay, we spent the year building this platform. I want to make sure that the people who work with me have value added experiences. And when I'm going on to platforms, that I'm a fit and that the experience is value added, right? That it's a mutual exchange. Tiffany, you do fantastic work. It's not just the work that you do as a speaker, it's the work that you do as a domestic violence survivor and supporting and championing in other women. But even if I, as a person who's not a survivor of domestic violence, I mean, you support and champion everybody, like every woman, right? But this is just an experience that you have, but you didn't let it define you. You took it and you became this champion of change and teaching people how to get to their next level. I wish you the best. We've shared Tiffany's information in the chat. Okay. Reach out to her because, again, she's always dropping dimes and words of wisdom. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
To connect with you, and we wish you the best. Congratulations on your appointment. Congratulations on this new consulting contract that you have, and just look forward to seeing so many great things from you.
I appreciate you. Have a happy new year.
Have a happy new year as well, Tiffany. Have a wonderful day. Are we back, Colonel Lawrence?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Talking.
I got you.
Yes, yes.
So I think I gave you a heck of an introduction already as a fellow veteran.
You did.
And I just, let's just jump right into it because we're getting close to the end here.
Sure.
And Wita, if you are listening, can you please log back in because I accidentally clicked you out. So listen, you really are just a fantastic human being. And I always again have to reiterate, as a somebody who had a career as a colonel in the military, that speaks for itself. You've traveled the world, then you took that and you turned it into, I mean, you just have been everywhere, right? And you took all of this experience that you have and you turned it into just an opportunity to mentor other people. So I want you to talk about 2024, all this stuff that you've done. I can keep giving you an introduction for the next 5 minutes, but all this stuff that you've done, and then all of the things that you plan to do in the coming year.
Yes. And Dr. Taylor, thank you so much. And for everyone listening and watching, Happy New Year. 2025 is our year. It's winning time, and we're all going to win this year. My name is Paul Lawrence, man, and in 2024, I saw myself on a lot of platforms speaking, and it was all based on a book titled Leadership as Influence. And as I was doing research, Dr. Taylor, one of the things that I found out was that only 10% of women were actually leading Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
And I just couldn't believe it. I said that number should at least be 25 to 30%, but it wasn't. And so I made it my business in 2024 to go out on platforms out in City University of New York, out in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace, speaking, leading a panel on the Renaissance of Leadership, in Paris, France, at a women's global conference. And I was talking about how we can get more women to lead from the C-suite to get them promoted, because when women lead organizations, the organizations have an increase in revenue. They have people who are more dedicated to the company. The employees know that they will have fairness all along the line because women believe in fairness. And not only that, but we also want to have more women who are making a tremendous difference, and people know this is happening. But all of this was the result of the book. And then I went on and did some work in Kenya, where I worked about family readiness program. And in family readiness program, I talked to people about how they can manage their family finances. Because I have a background, as we look in the Air Force Specialty Code, AFSC, in financial management. So I'm a certified financial manager, but my real job, just like yours is today, is leadership. And so that's why I operated from that position. So what I'd love to do is to get out there. Everything is based on this book. And I want people to really understand the important part of leadership is personal leadership. Personal leadership is where great things happen. And no matter what we have a new government coming into place here in about 3 weeks, and people walking around with fear. And I said, do not show any form of fear, because you don't have to participate in the things that are not good for our citizens, for our country. You have to really focus in on yourself. We have to focus on
That's
ourselves.
that emotional intelligence thing that
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, sometimes, you know, you want, like, I want to respond, I want to say something, but
Right.
first of all, I'm in the military, so I'm not going to say anything, right? I'm not going to risk my
Right.
career.
Exactly.
But I'm listening to you, and I'm like, what a fantastic life that you have lived. I mean, like, I'm probably retire as a captain, because I'm like, okay, you know, I commissioned when I was older, but it just, to me, it's you have traveled the world. I didn't expect you to say when I heard family readiness, I immediately started thinking Air Force, right? But when I heard, but you're out in Kenya training people, and I know you live here in the DC area, you know, where I live, so you've also had an opportunity to work on Capitol Hill, just to do some amazing things. And you didn't, when you retired from the military, you didn't stop. You wrote a book. That book has you traveling the world. Again, I am 100% doing this, not just for you two guys to hear from these speakers, but to see this diversity in life experience that everybody's bringing to the table. You have had an amazing life experience. And now when you talk about the road ahead in 2025, I mean, I don't know how to top going to Kenya and Paris, you know what I mean, and being a colonel in the military. I don't know how to top that. But when you talk about 2025 and we look at the road ahead, what is some specifics of the work that you will continue to do?
Well, a lot of it, and thank you for that excellent question, Dr. Taylor, but a lot of it is more collaboration and more partnerships. And as a part of that, sponsorships, to be able to get the message out to a larger body of people. And as a result of that, as you stated, I served 20 years in the Air Force and 12 of those years in the Pentagon, and also 1 year working for a member of Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives. So I learned some things, and I want to pass on those things that I learned. And one of those things learning to do is how to get things done. A lot of people do not know how to go to their government if they needed something to get something done. And you can start with the representative, U.S. representative you have from your particular district, or you can go to the senator. And then in many cases, you can go to the White House. I mean, there's nothing that's stopping us, but we as citizens are really empowered. And on those particular visits to the other country, what I'm primarily trying to focus on is to get more people to understand that we are all leaders. Leaders is not based on a title. Leadership is not based on a gender. But we have to do more and press forward more to help more women to become leaders, because they're the larger population. And so where we're going to get these people is coming from the women. That's where it's coming from. And if we can get the people at the top to really understand that, our country and around the world will be much better.
You know, again, just a fantastic perspective and perception on life. You really are somebody who, you know, for me, I'm like, if you're a military leader, I'm gonna trust you. Like, I literally will follow a military leader off the cliff, as long as I know that you're doing the right thing and having the right intentions. But these are people, guys. And this is why I speak to military leadership. This is the group that I have the most respect for as somebody who has served, because these are people who know what it's like to be in the trenches. Like, you don't just show up unless you medical. Exactly. But even if they go through years of training, right? You don't just show up and you a colonel. You literally, you're literally are in the trenches, which are like, even if for the one who started as a lieutenant, you know what I mean? You're literally in the trenches. You have to understand, because most of the time the person that's mentoring you is going to be an enlisted person. Those are the people that are showing you the way. So I have no higher respect than people who have served this country. I have no higher respect for that type of leadership, because I've done it myself. And I know that my time has come to an end eventually. But for those who continue in the ranks, my friends and colleagues who are continuing to grow, I have the highest level of respect for you, because, you know, it takes a lot, you know, to do that. You know, I could go on and on about that, but I know it's not Veterans Day. But let me get off my soapbox. But I want to just pause, like, what you have so much wisdom and so much life experience. What when we talk about writing the prescription for success, and what that looks like going into 2025, or we're in 2025, which I keep forgetting. What does that look like? What advice would you give in 30 seconds or less to that person, what that person was listening in to you.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Taylor. And one of the things that I really want people to take into consideration is that you have more power than you think you do. A lot of people think because a person has a title, president, governor, mayor, that they have all the power, but they really don't. Their power comes from us. And what people need to really take into consideration is assess where you are today and know what you want. You have to know what you want in order to get what you need. And we all need things in life and in terms of how we can carry on, whether we're going to purchase a house or get an advanced degree, put children through college, whatever it is. But we have the power, and we need to tap into that power and really make it work for us. And if your dream doesn't scare you, you need to rewrite your dream. You need to rewrite your goals. And that's what I really impart to people today, is that you as an individual have great power, and you need to tap into it and make it work for you, because when it works for you, you can help other people do the same thing. So thank you so much for that.
Again, high respect for people who serve this country, high respect for the fact that you continue to not only do this work, but you're paving the way for the next generation of leaders. And you're not just doing it for those who serve, but you're doing it for people who are across the world. You're recognizing the potential. Okay, let me get off my soapbox, because me supporting military people is something I am very passionate about, and I can get emotional about it. But Colonel Van, I hope that you've submitted your stuff to the magazine. Guys, we're going to drop the link to Work Global Magazine in the chat, and you can literally go to WORK, because I tried to make it easy, Work Global Magazine, or workglobalnews.com, because we've already started posting and having articles daily. But starting next week, we're going to start doing some of these features where we're highlighting these change makers, like Colonel Lawrence. Okay, so you can go to the website WORK Global News, or you can just type in WORK Global News, because we don't want to get you confused. So however you type it in, it'll come up, right? Yes. Paul, fantastic, and thank you so much for the work that you do and the passion that you have. Okay? Thank you very much, and happy 2025. I look forward to working with you even more. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Okay. Guys, I think our next to last guest, I'm going to try to add her to the stage. Danielle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. All right. I saw you on with your camera. Are you able to do that? Okay.
Yes, I'm on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now look, these last two guests are two special people to me. All right. And I had to have them on personal because Danielle, Wida, what do you want me to call you? What do you want me to say?
We'll go by Wida today. That's okay. The professional. That's the author name.
All right. So we'll go by Wida today. But Wida is my girl. Okay. Listen, years ago when I worked in higher education, we was like, this was Frit and Frat, right? Yes. And we were always hanging out, and she was one of the best English teachers I've never met. Besides Laura, I shout out to Laura Klaus, because that's my girl too, right? All right. But the amazing experience of being able to be connected with people who have a passion for educating and building. And over the years, I've seen your growth. So when I was looking at this conference, I saw that you were a writer and you were out speaking and doing your thing. So we talk about like the difference here. Yes, we work with all of these people who are doing leadership development, but I wanted to bring on one of my colleagues and teachers and friends who she's out here directing theater, writing books, and living her passion and making this connection. And this is another example of you just starting where you are and doing the work. And Wida is I'm trying. Is one of the most amazing people that I've ever met and had an opportunity to be connected to. And it's just been a blessing over the years to be able to see your growth and your level of connection with the community. So with that, Wida, let me turn it over to you. And I want you to talk about your experiences in 2024 and the things that you've done and what you're continuing to do in 2025.
Okay, so let me start by saying, first of all, we talk about the education. I'm going to quickly say this and jump into my next theme here. my goal for that is to take what's in the classroom and take it beyond the four walls. Okay. So going in and a lot of us get caught up in those four walls or in that system or in that bureaucracy. Okay. So if my goal for each student or person that's in my class is to expand beyond that building, okay, and have them go into the communities. So my whole motto is I don't like to create monsters. Here's what I mean by that. I like to foster more than the intellect. The intellect is very important, but I more so, which I think is even more important, is the soul, which are two different entities. Okay, so those things can war with each other. And that's why sometimes we think we want to do something, but we get a feeling here in our belly or in our gut that is like, why am I feeling this way? I can't explain it. Why am I not? This doesn't make sense. But it's like we get these inner feelings, which is the soul, which is the which expands beyond the intellect. It's actually been proven that the soul and the sensitivities in that part of us is more accurate than the intellect, by the way. Okay, so
are you sure you're not a mindset coach? Is going right. Like,
well, let me get back to that. So I try to foster the soul, which is the emotions, not just the intellect, but the emotions and the wherewithal to apply the things we learn. That comes with the emotional aspect, because what good is it to be highly intelligent if you're a monster? Or if you use it for the evil instead of the good, or if you're too depressed to get out of bed every day. Yeah. So those things have to be in alignment. Okay. So that brings me back to my point here, that my book here, one of my books, I just published this in 2024. It came out in June, which deals with these themes. Okay. It's a fiction book that deals with real life. Okay. Real life themes that explore real issues that we face as human beings in a fictional portrayal.
Is your book, let's talk a little bit about that, because is your book just for young adults, or is it for what's the age group? Because could I pick it up and read it?
Yes. So I've been getting, this one's the first book. It's a series. Okay.
We're going to drop our information in the chat.
Yeah, it's a series, an adventure fantasy series. That's book one that came out a few years back.
Yeah, I remember.
Two, and these two gals here are twins. Okay, so we got the lovely blonde, and we've got the witchy dark girl here who turned dark.
The witchy dark girl.
The witchy dark, which we all have the duplicity in us, don't we? Don't we all have that struggle of light and dark in us?
Yeah.
So that's what these books deal with, and how we overcome and how we deal with those things, because there's an old proverb that says, when I do good, evil is right beside me.
Now, I just want to point out here that Weta, is so hard for me to say that, is an English teacher. Okay. She has this background in English and theater. All right. And when I was, when we worked together, you were teaching English. I believe that I thought you taught theater. You taught theater as well.
I was a theater. I had my own theater company, theater director, playwright, and I actually just got a theater back. I'm going to be running an arts hub in Palm Beach County that came to me by the universe, God of your understanding, whatever you want to call that. So things are shifting for me back into the theater world, which I'm so excited about, to get back into the community. And my goal is to spread love. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but this is true. To spread truth, love, and light through art.
When you talk about some of the themes, because I know, I got to plug Dean Richard White, who just released his book. He's along the same lines, right? I got his book, and he's an artist, and he is a person who expresses himself through poetry as well. When you talk about the themes in your book, because let me keep the conversation moving, because again, you're a friend. I'll get into this dynamic of let's deep dive. But the stuff you're saying is also like a mindset, right? In 60 seconds or less, tell me, when you're exploring these themes of humanism, and some of the things, the light and dark, because that's what each of the books represent. And you're talking about the mindset and experiences. Tell me some of the themes that people will learn, this duplicity from reading your work.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. There's a duality of life. We are constantly in light and dark, good, evil, success and failure. And these two things are constantly working simultaneously, constantly, to bring balance to our life.
I was just reading a book, Joyce Meyer, Blessed Dismissed, right? And, from a Christian perspective, she talks about, we all are experiencing this thing, this mess. So whatever your experiences are, whether you Christian, whatever. I'm a Christian, so I just like, but from a Christian perspective, she talks about this, this thing we would say is the devil, right? This good and evil. But when you're experiencing these difficulties and challenges in life, and this is what I want to say, because we're going to move to this positive piece, right? When you're experiencing these challenges and these difficulties in life, no matter what you just, some stuff happens because it happens, right? And you can say whatever it is, but you have to embrace the good and the bad. And the whole point is behind this, and that's the good and the bad is totally different from this is evil, when somebody has evil or ill intent towards you.
Well, I'm a little dramatic. I've got to.
but I'm just saying it from the standpoint which y'all understand it, like okay, I might have the best of it, like this conference, right? I have the best of intentions, and then we get on here and my sound don't work, and I'm like, oh, it's like the good and the bad, the challenges, the things of life. So as you look back on 2024. The totality of the experiences that you had, the good, the bad, the ugly, it shaped who you are. I have no problem saying, hey, I moved out of education. You know the story. I don't have to talk about it, right? Yeah. But the good and the bad behind it became Work Solutions. The good and the bad behind, you know what I mean? The good of that experience is 4 years later. It's like I'm running these conferences where I'm having people to come on here, people like you creators, to express themselves. So as you guys go into 2025, understand that the duplicity and this duality is there, and things are going to happen. And this whole conference has been about positivity, but the realization is, and I think that Dominica pointed that out when she was like, "Oh, I'm out here driving Uber," and Rhonda said I was a principal and I left this job because I was burnt out, right? Whatever you're experiencing is going to propel you into that next. So let me respond to that.
Yes, that's what it's like, it deals with also the fullness of time. So the point is that there's always the yin and the yang, the good and the light and the dark. There's always the and. So if you're in a period of darkness or you're in a period of struggle, don't get caught up in that one side of life. There's always a duplicity, and there's always an and.
There's a book that goes.
So
they said the next door will open, but there's a book that's called "But there's hell in the hallway." You know what I mean? It can be difficult to get to that next piece, but embrace all of the experience and going into 2020.
Don't be scandalized. Don't be scandalized by hard times, because, like you're saying, my books, the best art I've created have always come outside of a real hard lesson. I've always created my best work coming out of my hardest times.
Please, guys, as we go into 2025, as we go into this year, remember that. I gotta stop here because I gotta bring on the last guest, but we got your book. We're dropping your stuff in the chat. But what is 30 seconds or less when we talk about prescription for success in 2025? I know it's like, for me, just listening to you, it's like embrace the totality of your experience.
The totality, yes.
That is so deep. Embracing the totality. So what advice would you give in answer reference to that question?
I would say that to be realistic, I am all about positivity. And that's what both of my books end with, that, because I feel that if you can embrace that totality, that duality, you will come out on the other end successful. You have
Yeah.
to. History shows us that. History, even the research historically, if we look at some of the most terrible times in our history, evil never prevailed.
It
And you
never
were
does.
talking about the military. You know, our military has helped the United States. The military has helped to squash some of the most heinous evils in history.
And these are people commit, don't give me on military soapbox.
If
But
we-
I got to keep us moving, Wita.
Okay.
I'll talk to you all day, but I just think that the work that you do is fantastic. I think that you are someone who shows a holistic perspective, because I've known you in the classroom. You've taught high school, you've taught college, you've done English, you've done drama. You've taken this passion. I love what you said about taking students outside of the classroom.
Yes.
But I mean, shoot, girl, you just came in here and you need to get a life coaching certification, okay? Because that's what you gave us. You're not just an author, but it's like, this is the way, as we get to our last speaker, of ending this, where it's like, okay, embrace everything. Embrace every piece of your experience and start where
It's
you
all
are.
working for the good. It's all working for your good, and it will come out in the fullness of time, like a seed. The seed grows in the dark, right? The seed grows in the dark. It's not seen. It's overlooked. It gets stepped on because it's under the ground, but it's doing its most work under the ground. It's growing roots. It's forming its foundation until it comes out and blooms into that beautiful tree in the fullness of time. The fullness of time is what's so important here. And letting that, it starts as a seed and it grows, and there's many phases until it comes into that fullness, that full bloom.
Guys, it's January 1st. You can plant your seed today.
Yes.
And watch it grow over the next year. Wita, thank you so much for the work that you do with young people. Thank you so much for the work that you do to promote creativity. Thank you for recognizing that duality, right? And writing it in a way that people can relate to. I wish you the best in 2025 for you to continue the work that you do. And we're going to move to our last guest, but
Thanks,
I look forward to seeing you in the magazine.
Thank you, Christy, so much. You've been an inspiration to me and in the education realm. And I just admire everything you're doing. And I thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. And you have an excellent. I remember when we went to that gun thing. You remember?
Yeah, I actually have those pictures. I think I'll post.
Oh, you got to send them to me. All right, you have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, we're going to run just like maybe 10 minutes over, guys, because I have to bring on my last guest, which is my sister.
Hi.
Hey, Dr. Karen Taylor. Listen, the reason why I had to invite her on is because Karen stepped in earlier last year. We did the Black Health Summit, because remember that first year out here in 2024, we were just like, we're going to launch stuff. We're going to do stuff. And that was the first time I ever had an opportunity to just really hear my sister speak. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to you. You're getting ready to launch this business, Invictus Smart Performance. If you're tuning in and listening in, I want to talk to you about two little Black girls from Pearl, Mississippi. Okay. We both went to Pearl. We don't like Brandon. I just want to point it out. But we both went to Pearl. We both come from the same neighborhood, the same community. We both doctors. Okay. So we both from this little country town. Okay. And we both doctors. So I just want to put that out there, okay, to start this conversation with my sister. But I brought Karen on in February of 2024 when we launched our event, when we launched our Black Health Summit event, and she was only supposed to be on for 5 minutes, but I had never heard her speak before. And in that 5 minutes, she showed and demonstrated so much passion with the work that she does. I was like, if I ever have an opportunity to reconnect with her, I am definitely going to bring her back on. So Karen, the floor is yours to talk about the work that, I could do the whole spiel of my sister is fantastic. My sister is my ride or die. My sister is the person that like, hey, I'm gonna go to her and bounce about. But we have had the experience of starting businesses in this first year. And so I want to turn this over to you to talk a little bit about the work that you do, what inspires you, the successes that you had in 2024, and what does it look like for you as you prepare to launch your business, Invictus Smart Performance, in 2025?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm a physical therapist. I started off as an athletic trainer. I did that for several years, and then I went into a physical therapy program. I've graduated from that program and now have become adjunct faculty in that program. And so that has been my launching pad for everything that I want to do going forward. I've spent several years in the outpatient orthopedic setting, and when you get into those settings, there's good and bad. As you were talking about with Wida, there's the duality of things, right? And so you see the good, you see the bad, and as a healthcare professional, we get into this saying, I just want to go out and I want to help the world. And you get in certain settings and you start to feel like you can't really do all the things that you got into it for. And so for me, 2024, and my aunt reminded me of this last night because every year we get together and we talk about our goals for the upcoming year. In 2024, I didn't have a goal. My goal for 24 was to just do it. I was like Nike. So whatever that meant for me, I just did it. And as I started going through 2024, I started taking some continuing ed courses, more so related to business, because I knew at some point I would branch out on my own, that I would get out of the circle of the outpatient orthopedic setting so much, and I would dive into my own thing. And then I started really focusing on runners. I used to be a runner in high school and a little bit in college. And so for me, that was like, that's my focus. That is the group of people I want to help, because when they come into my clinic, they don't necessarily always get the care that they need, because they come in from a functional standpoint, in a sense. And when you're going through insurances and they're saying you're functional, then why are you being seen? And so for me, I launched my own practice because I wanted to be able to help the population of people that I enjoy treating the most, and to be able to give them the care that they absolutely deserve. For that reason, I'm also out of network with insurances, so that I don't have to stop when insurance companies say, well, you're functional now, you can walk, you can run a little bit, but you're still in pain. So for me, looking over the last year and everything that I've gone to get here, it's just been such a blessing to be in this position where I can say I'm ready to fully launch and to be able to help the population of people that I so desperately want to help and who absolutely deserve the type of care that I want to provide.
So Karen ran track in high school, at Pearl High School. I got to keep on plugging. And you also ran track in college. And then for me, I'm just looking at you. I can't see without my glasses, so them not googly eyes I'm giving you, but in a way, it's because I'm so proud of you and the work that you do. And I wanna just talk to you a little bit about, and we're not gonna go long here. We're a little bit over, but I got to make sure I give you this time, and I want to recognize you. You guys, we're dropping her stuff in the chat. She's getting ready to launch this practice because everybody's going to make the decision. Oh, I want to lose weight. I mean, my commitment this year was like I'm gonna get up earlier at 5 a.m. So I was up and I ran 3 miles indoors this morning. But hey, I got up and did it. People are, oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get more in shape. And, so you'll have questions about that, and which I'll come back to. But I want to talk about the name of your business, Invictus Smart Performance. And this name has a special meaning, right? So Karen is somebody, again, if she's new to business, she decided she was going to take some time and learn. Me and Karen are both perfectionists, right? And sometimes it just takes you just got to go for it. And, so I'm proud of you for taking that leap of faith. But I want to talk about the name of your business, Invictus Smart Performance. And you know why. So go ahead and just tell them a little bit about what inspired you to name your business in this way.
Well, the name of my business is a mantra for how I want to move forward in business. Invictus is Latin for undefeated or unconquerable. And so that is what I want my patients to feel when they come into my clinic. Because again, like I just said, you don't always get to the finish line when you're in certain settings, especially in outpatient. And so I want to be able to go with my patients across the finish line, that we're undefeated, that we don't stop until you are absolutely able to do all of the things that you want to do, which is the reason why you came to me, right? And then SMART. It has 3 meanings. In my professional world as a physical therapist, it means sports medicine and rehabilitation therapy, right? But it also is how we set our goals, how we're taught to set our goals from a physical therapy standpoint, and how we should be setting our goals in life, okay? Which means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. These are all the measures that we look for when we're setting our goals, so that we know Have we hit that mark? Have we achieved that thing that we set out to achieve? And then finally, our grandmother used to always tell us, tailors are smarter than the average. And so this is my ode to her. I could not start a business without putting smart in the name of the business, because I owe everything to her. I would not be where I am today. I would not be Dr. Karen Taylor without her, because she really, really, really enforced upon us the power of a good education. She was one of the first Black nurses in Brandon, in our home, back the city next over from Pearl. And so just her dedication to education is the reason why, we've all, even
both of us have degrees in health science in some way, because she was a nurse, right?
Exactly.
And I was telling Mom last night, okay, Karen, I could take this conversation 30 minutes with you. I was telling Mom, the other day, like, hey, I need to clean out these books from my closet, because growing up, our grandma had a closet full of books. Now, they might have been from the 1970s, but, there was always something for us to read. There was always, somebody was always teaching and working with us on something. Or we could go hang out at the shop with Granddaddy and learn how to do a do upholstery work. It was just always some type of skill that we were learning, or something that we was being introduced to. And if you're familiar with our community, Pearl and Brandon, those communities are not rich communities, right? We're from a little town in Mississippi, and so if you're a parent and you're out there listening in on this, it's really about the experience, the totality of the experiences that you give your children and nurturing them. Shout out to our mom and daddy too, right? Because without them, we wouldn't be who we are today. But it's about the experiences and using what you have and starting where you are. I mean, even with our dad, both of our parents are entrepreneurs. Our mom owns Jazzy Salons right there in Pearl. Make sure you go there and get your hair done. But even our dad, he owned the Dairy Queen, and from a very young age, we were there working. He has always been an entrepreneur, and so both of our parents instilled in us with what they had. They started with what they had, and this is how we got to where we are today, because we learned from this. So if you're a parent and you're listening and you feel like, okay, I don't have all of the resources, I don't know what to do, start with what you have, because you have some spirit influence. Or even if you're a grandparent, right, you have some spirit influence on your child. Karen, I want to talk about this book that we did a little bit, but I want to actually allow you to give as you're moving forward in 2025 and you launch this business, what would you say to anybody in terms of being a prescription for success? Because you got a lot of things coming. So I want to make sure you plug your business, and then I also want to make sure that you give some inspirational advice, because there are a lot of people who are looking at you, a lot of young people who are from where we're from, and it's like, you did the work to get where you are, and you are in launch phase. And I know you're going to be successful in what you do, because I know you as a person, right? You're older than me, at least in sorority terms, right? So, so what advice would we talk about the prescription for success in 2025? What does that look like, and what does that mean for you?
For me, I would just say anybody who has an idea, just get started. Because for me, I can get stuck in the perfectionist phase, as you said, like we want to put out a good product when we go out there. And so for me, I'm realizing the more I just get started, God will give me the next step of what to do as I launch this. And so with that, I have 2 books that are coming from my side of things, because my focus in my practice is on runners. But even more specifically, I do 3D gait analysis, which is not something that is currently done in my area. So that is my niche that really sets me apart. And so I'm writing books on that, because there's nothing out there that really talks about the use of 3D gait analysis. So from
Can you tell us what that is in like a sentence or less?
So it's just when you put the markers, you have different markers that you put on your patient, and it will give you a total 360-degree view of their running mechanics. And so that really helps to tease out, is the issue really, if you tell me that it's my ankle or that's hurting, is it really your ankle, or do you have a deficit somewhere else? And it really helps us to tease those things out, so that, again, I can go with my patients across that finish line, that you can really, truly get the healthcare that you deserve. And then from, just the standpoint of my patients, my motto in my business is that we equip you with the knowledge and the tools that you need to manage your health one step at a time. Because I'm not the type of therapist that I want to keep you here forever. Yes, I have different parts of my practice where, you can stay on, because I do run coaching, I do strength and conditioning, I do post-race recovery. So you can stay on. But I want you to be empowered to know that what I came here for, I now have a full understanding of what's going on, and I know how to manage my health myself. Because we see so much going on in the world of healthcare and insurance and all of that. And so it's time for us to start empowering our patients as healthcare professionals.
Do you have any advice for, the everyday runner who might have a PT test in like 2 weeks that she needs to take? But the people who are tuning in, Karen, they're the everyday runner. So what advice would you give to that everyday runner who is starting this process of just trying to get in shape? They might not have they might not can go downstairs and run in the gym like I've been doing. But for the everyday person who, is like, okay, I'm going to start this journey, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I mean, you can definitely send me, you can send me a message on my social medias that you have here. I have a product that I can send you, just 10 steps, that things that you can do inside of your home to improve your running. Now, from the standpoint of I have a PT test in 2 weeks, I would advise you to not wait until the last 2 weeks to actually get started. You have this coming up, right? And so, but that
if you're my commander and you listening in right now, I've been running for 6 months. Go ahead, Gary.
But that is part of my run coaching, is that I can set you up on a 6-week or 8-week or 12-week running plan to get you where you want to go. But it's just doing the little things in your home. Like I said, you can send me a link or a message, and I'll send you the link to be able to really hone in on certain things, whether it's working on your cadence, whether it's working on your strength and stability, whether it's working on, just your running mechanics overall, little things that we can do inside of our home that you don't always need access to a gym for. Because my practice is mobile, so I don't have a lot of equipment. So I have to be able to get patients better in their home.
Karen, I'm so proud of you and the work that you do. Now, I can't leave here without us plugging this book. Listen, this is if I can get it clear, this book, Colorful Careers in Healthcare, is a labor of love. It is a project that we worked on for almost 2 years. I started this project right before I deployed to Tampa Stand, as we say, or Central Command in 2023. And we were not able to publish it until this year. This book is literally dedicated to everybody who has some level of influence in our life. Our grandmama, as she mentioned, our parents, in terms of us being both working in the health science field, which is crazy because I teach American history now, which I don't understand how we got there. But, both of us working in the health science field. This is a great book. I wrote it as I was a former elementary school teacher. Karen has always been in the field of health sciences, but this is a coloring book for kids. And what we've done is we have produced, so this is the pharmacist page. If you can't see it too well, we'll make sure that we drop a link in the chat. But we have over 40 some different healthcare careers in this book. And we actually have ourselves featured as the characters in this book. The book has a scannable QR code when the kids, whether you're using it in your classroom or if you are just using it with your kid, it has a scannable QR code that takes them to a video that introduces them in kids speak, right? In kids, because I was a 4th grade teacher, in kids speak, explaining to them these different healthcare careers. This is why this is so important, because it's written from a teacher perspective, because it's teaching reading, writing, but it's also teaching advocacy, which Karen talks about a little bit in terms of just making sure that we are able to advocate and speak up for ourselves. I think that for young people, they need to start at an early age. And I've had some teachers look at this and go, oh, I can use this in my 8th grade class. So this might be something useful to you. You can find it on Amazon. We've dropped the link, but it's called Colorful Careers in Healthcare. It teaches about diversity because, again, even with every picture, I mean, if it was a Black woman, I made sure that there were afros, twists, braids, and if it didn't look like our hair, I sent it back. So the representation is important here, but the characters are diverse. But I just wanted to make sure that I had everything correct. We worked really hard on this project, and it's kind of an ode to and an honor for all of the folks that have influenced us along the way. Karen, you are my final guest. We went about 20 minutes over, but it really was worth it to be able to have this conversation with you. We talked, we laughed, but I just wanted to let you know from a sisterly standpoint, I'm proud of you, the work that you do. I'm wishing you all of the best in 2025. And I mean, if you ain't seen it, you see today the product of something that I started on a whim in November of 2024. and where we are today with over 70 speakers that we've worked with, launching a magazine. We here at Work Solutions are the prescription for career success, career and workplace success. We are a supporter and advocate of change makers, and we are committed to being an impact. And with that, any final words before we sign off today, Karen?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. As much of an inspiration as you say I am to you, you definitely have been to me as the older sister. You have definitely paved the way for the family, the family manager for sure. So thank you for having me on, and it's been an honor to be able to sit back and kind of watch you lead the way, and now I can follow in those footsteps in my own way.
All right. So if any advice that we give is, don't be afraid. Start with what you have. We can all get caught up in that hamster wheel of I need, because I can do it too, because I'm, we've been pressed for education. I'm always like, I got to get this certification, or I got to get this. You can literally start with what you have. I mean, if you're going to be a doctor, please go get the certification. But, if you can literally start with what you have and where you are, you can set it off, and then you can find yourself in a position. I expect nothing but great things from you, from every person who came on today. Thank you. For every person who showed up to support an event. Thank you. If you're a member of SAFE, thank you. Thank you to everybody who we worked with. If you were able to tune in, and if you are listening to this later on, thank you. And we hope and pray that you have a blessed and wonderful new year. Stay great. And we are signing off. Thank you, and have a wonderful 2025. Oh, I forgot to mention, we are having our free workshop on January 23rd. So we dropped that link in the chat, the Land Your Dream Job in 2025. So again, thank you to all of our speakers, and this has been a fantastic experience.